there, my name is Katie Tessing. I am a presbytera, the wife of a priest in the Orthodox Church, and I'm going to be sharing with you a video essay that I have, Is Growth Always Good? A look at the convert surge in the Orthodox Church. Thanks for watching. Walk into any Orthodox church across the United States of America on a Sunday morning, and if you're lucky, you might manage to squeeze into a spot among a sea of congregants. After settling in momentarily, you'll likely notice the large percentage of young men in attendance. A first-time visitor might not pick up on the novelty of this demographic, but just ask an experienced parishioner and you'll undoubtedly hear a remark on the sheer growth of their parish. How did a church that was up until a few years ago colloquially known among members as America's best-kept secret suddenly attract a huge surge of interest? I won't go into the whole story of how Orthodoxy first arrived in America, but unlike our Protestant and Catholic counterparts who brought missions to Americans in hopes of converting them, but rather it was brought to America by immigrants seeking to hold on to their faith, which was quietly and devoutly maintained in the ethnic neighborhoods of growing cities, where industrialization offered jobs to those seeking new opportunities, especially Arab, Russian, and Greek immigrants. For a long time, many feared the church in America would dwindle with time as the descendants of immigrants lost ties to traditions of the old country. But now we see all of this growth. What changed? Well, very simply put, the internet. Well, the internet and COVID. The social and online repercussions of the pandemic undoubtedly brought the Orthodox Church a lot of visibility. Perhaps the most visibility it has had in modern history. Once the world gradually returned to normal, visitors continued to flock to the Orthodox Church in droves. Many come with the deep misconception that their online leanings have provided sufficient catechism. Others come with the assumptions about their status in the church professing to be Orthodox already, without understanding how that actually happens. A large majority seem to have cobbled together their own versions of orthodoxy, lowercase o orthodoxy, bypassing established, helpful online ministry resources in favor of fast-talking, problematic YouTubers who take church practices out of context and use clickbait to fuel engagement, maybe even behind a Patreon paywall. Like pages ripped from a holy book and used as cannon fodder, the teachings of the church have now been shot into cyberspace, ripped free of any context, pastoral guidance, or parameter. Now, a good priest will notice these concerning patterns of ideologies, misogyny, and rigidity, and in some cases anti-Semitism, and address them head on. He and other church leaders will recognize a responsibility to address these widespread misconceptions and clarify in sermons, catechism, and adult Sunday school classes what the Orthodox Church does and doesn't stand for. A good priest will foster an environment where rapport can be built along with pastoral care and personal accountability. He will encourage edifying and Christ-centered conversations. He will not enthusiastically join in or turn a blind eye to toxic socio-political conversations during coffee hour or young adult gatherings. Discernment must be masterfully employed as the maturity and preparedness of each individual is assessed. Catechumenate periods should be extended to 2 years, in my opinion, as this affords plenty of time for a new congregant to assess how serious they are about joining the church via baptism. This may seem like an egregious amount of time compared to how quickly some priests fast-track newbies, but it's actually more congruent with ancient church practices. Apostasy was and still is a considerable transgression, and the best way to prevent that was and is to rightly treat the process with seriousness and patience it deserves, circumstances notwithstanding. Furthermore, eager new members should not be given roles of leadership, but take time to grow and learn the faith for several years. The bros may call this gatekeeping. I just call it humility. Due to various factors, my own journey to Orthodoxy was 5 years. So I'm not trying to be hypocritical. I promise. Ultimately, it was for my own salvation and my own well-being. One of the greatest virtues that Orthodox tradition teaches is humility. The church has never been a place where people march in with their own ideas and call the shots. Or if it has, it's never ended well. Unfortunately, some of the priests with the largest online platforms seem to be the most enthusiastic and, at least to me, least discerning about this newfound growth. Is there a link between churches with the most growth and a priest or parish's online visibility? Maybe, maybe not. There are a lot of factors at play. After all, online keyboard warriors are quick to ruthlessly tear apart anyone who appears liberal-leaning or at least skeptical of ortho pros. described aptly as, quote, a loosely connected group with far-right views who are fluent in the languages of social media and podcasting, end quote.
I have no problem being on my phone for hours and hours. I love my phone.
Don't cough.
If I ever feel weird at all, I'm just looking at it.
In short, the priests who gain the most, not from full-time ministry, but from content creating, have the most at stake. In a recent Facebook post, a popular content creating priest shared a reel about a parish welcoming just under 100 new catechumens. The post was met with mostly praise and congratulations. I went out on a limb, though, and politely asked if such a scale of ceremony was truly ideal, to which the priest replied, ideal or not, this is what is needed right now. I don't care! I love it! Fair enough. Who am I to tell someone how to do their job? But further investigation into the comments section showed that neighboring parishes in that area were actually struggling to keep their numbers up. One commenter asked, why not send these newcomers to nearby parishes that are less crowded and thereby more accommodating? Whereas some parishes with a greater online presence, by the way, the church with all the catechumens also has close connections to a very popular Orthodox social media account, bursting at the seams, while others that are less visible online but still canonical and welcoming struggling to grow. I don't care! I love it! Are we really putting proper catechism at the forefront, or are we only obsessed with aesthetics, frothing with excitement over increased numbers like megachurches of the evangelical world? Are fast-growing parishes offering a certain flavor of orthodoxy that certain churches deemed too ethnic refuse to do? The internet has undoubtedly intensified everything, and it has affected the way people learn about and approach the Orthodox Church. With far more visibility than ever before, access to ancient teachings are now instantaneous. What used to constitute a drive across town, or hours and hours outside of town, to the nearest Orthodox church for an in-person visit, conversation with the priest, and perhaps a perusal at the parish bookstore, now can be satisfied with an evening of scrolling whatever flavor of Orthodox resources suited to one's algorithm. In-person recommendations from a singular, trusted source are no longer the norm. Instead, info is gleaned from strangers in online discussion boards, with no regard to that contributor's life experience or even church membership at all. The truth is overlooked in favor of anyone with good optics and convincing aesthetics. Sacredness is now something to scroll through, not participate in. The whole construct of social media fools us into thinking we're doing something when we're actually not doing anything at all. Passive likes on an old friend's post scratch an itch of connection, but ultimately leaves us with deeper layers of loneliness. In the same way, passively scrolling past picture-perfect Orthodox influencers, saints' quotes, and podcasts fools us into thinking we're doing something spiritual when it couldn't be further from the truth. Ideological takeover has infected large portions of the Orthodox Church, thanks to seekers eager not for truth, but for rigidity, neo-traditionalism, and performative righteousness. Quote, when criticizing the secularization of American culture, Orthodox Christians, often converts, take to social media networks to promote a moral Orthodox vision for the future. They express deep concerns over the secularization of society, concerns that are warranted at least in part. They believe orthodoxy, perhaps paired with a certain far-right political philosophies, might be able to reclaim the world for God. Obviously, Christians, Orthodox or otherwise, are called to live out the gospel and adhere to the teachings of Jesus Christ. We are very fortunate to live in a country that has traditionally allowed us the religious freedom to do so. Likewise, the great saints of the church have always reinforced the biblical teaching that true conversion can only happen with a transformation from within. An internal battle of the soul that employed the deep, self-reflective work of repentance, prayer, and loving others without judgment. The much-beloved Catholic Saint Teresa of Avila famously summed up the general ethos of what the Christian struggle should be. Quote, be gentle to all and stern with yourself. These long-held truths of the Christian traditions have been obscured by culture war manifestos. The fight is no longer inward, but external, and the target is secularization and emasculating worldliness. After all, orthodoxy appeals to the masculine soul, said one young man in an interview in a New York Times article. Church leaders leaders who refuse to see this as a problem worth addressing and shaming individuals who voice concern with this growth might have bigger problems down the road when the same newcomers leave in droves for the next internet trend. Not everyone should be placed on a conveyor belt indiscriminately towards a set baptism date. Not only that, but the church risks losing longtime parishioners who find this new politically charged culture at church unsettling, yet feel too powerless or guilty to say anything. Several of my female acquaintances have or are contemplating leaving the Orthodox Church because of how overwhelming and uncomfortable this new dynamic has become. Orthodox laywoman and author Dr. Nicole Roccas received strong backlash and threats of violence from fans of a popular YouTuber priest when she wrote a Substack article in response to a controversial video he posted about female hotness and holiness matrix. And since Nicole omitted the priest's name in her Substack article, I'll follow suit, and if you're chronically online Orthodox, you probably know who I'm talking about. In the video, this priest jocularly assesses a woman's appearance and how it equates to how holy she is, and ultimately whether or not that makes her good wife material. Thankfully, the video was removed shortly after its release at the behest of this priest bishop. However, the damage was already done. With 250,000 YouTube subscribers and dozens of new catechumens himself, the harm of the videos seemed to have no personal effect on this priest. In fact, it seemed to only increase his popularity with Gen Z seekers. Priests who play along with the immaturity are perhaps the most disappointing of all. You can't expect much from groypers or bros or Gen Z, but when an ordained presbyter joins the boys' game, it really is a huge disappointment. As a wife of a priest, I can say with confidence that priests are not perfect. They deserve to have their own interests and hobbies. Eventually, your own parish priest might disappoint you. That's par for the course. But it shouldn't be something intentional. It shouldn't be something that keeps happening. It shouldn't be something that is applauded and encouraged by young people who are engaging it who you don't even know who these people are. Why are you catering to people who you don't even know and disappointing your actual flock that trusts you and really cares for you? If you have an online platform, there does need to be a bit of seriousness and difference. If you want to make a funny video, maybe wear some normal clothes, take off the cassock and do it from a personal account, not as a representative of Christ. Compartmentalization be darned. I'd rather you compartmentalize and sort of have your own personal channel and do something and just, hey, this is just me, than do it as a representative of the church. You can always just have caveats and apologize, but conflating the two because it's really confusing. This behavior has a damaging effect on women of the church. Even the women who insist it isn't hurtful might internalize those words and be haunted and tormented by them during trials of spiritual dryness. Additionally, priests who pretend that this growth is out of their hands and act like the only thing to do is to dunk them are neglecting to employ pastoral care that is a primary part of their calling. It's undoubtedly a daunting task, especially as emails from inquirers grow by the week and the threat of burnout looms large. Again, I'm the wife of a priest. I have a sliver of understanding of what this is like. But what is needed from everyone is patience, time, honest conversations, fearlessly addressing problematic internet gleanings head on, and getting to know each individual as time allows. Growth is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying growth is bad. But real growth happens when expectations are tempered with accurate information and realistic timelines. It weeds out those looking for a quick conversion from those who are genuinely seeking a new life in Christ. Furthermore, growth can only go so far. If parishes are also hemorrhaging disillusioned existing members, then the church is truly only growing enough to keep up with attrition. Where is the example of the Good Shepherd in our priests searching for the lost sheep as Jesus himself taught in the Gospels? A deeper look at the statistics also give us reason for additional concern. According to the Pew Research, rates of actual spiritual practice and church attendance are not much better than any other denomination or faith group, insinuating that while church growth is happening, application of the tenets of the faith are not necessarily being practiced effectively. Quote, "This should be a bit of a wake-up call. Even as we may be excited by the waves of new converts, we have work to do in strengthening the engagement of current Orthodox Christians with the life of the church," end quote. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a club. Believing in God and being an Orthodox Christian has absolutely nothing to do with social media, YouTube videos, ideologies, or the sanctification or destruction of Western civilization. We want aimless young people, and yes, even the Ortho bros, to mature into capable, loving, Christ-centered Orthodox Christians, not internet-driven idealists who are chasing the next morality cult. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye.